1. What's up? What's up? Coach Damien here, the Shift Method. Got another awesome episode for y'all. This is going to be episode number 32. It's going to be December when this is going out, about a week away from Christmas. So very exciting. Of course, happy holidays to those who celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all those awesome things. I got with me someone who I mentored for a short period of time up at Purdue in the ACE prep course back in 2019, 2020-ish. And that is my man, Jay-Z. Jay, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. First off, thank you, Damien, for doing such an awesome job leading that prep course. That really helps kickstart my career. And it's been a pleasure to kind of get to know you a little bit more and learn a lot of valuable things from you. So thank you for having me on. It's an honor. So a little bit about me. So I'm a senior at Purdue University right now, and I'm actually majoring in marketing with a minor in entrepreneurship. And I've been a trainer for about 3 years now. And I got into it, as I said earlier, because of Damien in that prep course in 2020. And ever since then, I've been able to get a variety of experiences in training and even in strength and conditioning. And I've even launched my own fitness brand. So it's been a hell of a ride so far, and I'm looking forward to keeping it going. So yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Yes, sir. Long way from the prep course now, talking about your own brand, which we're definitely going to dive into in a little bit. On the entrepreneur front, there were actually a couple of trainers from the rec who did a similar thing. I believe and she's now closer to Mike, Katie. And I think even Elias may have done it, where they took that entrepreneurial minor or like a psychology minor. It is tremendously important, man. Because I tell people, like, you can have all that exercise science knowledge, but if you can't like market, create revenue streams and like understand like the process of being a businessman or woman, like that information isn't very useful unless you have those business skills.
That's a good point, though. It's been a great experience in those classes, and basically like the first couple classes are a really basic understanding of what entrepreneurship is, how businesses become successful. And like, we've got some hands-on experience, like working with early startups and even trying to create your own startup and figure out how to bring it to the market. So it's just a very good way to get a basic understanding of how entrepreneurship works and to see if it's something that it's a good fit for you, or if you're better off working for something that's already more established and stable.
Yes. And remind me, I know we talked about grad school a little bit, maybe about a week or so ago. Are you graduating this upcoming May?
Yes, I'm a senior right now, and I'll be graduating in May somehow. So we're here.
Has the senioritis kicked in yet?
Oh yeah. The school, at least the school part of it. Like, I don't want to do any schoolwork. I just want to train people and be in the gym with the athletes and train myself and repeat. But got to finish up that degree too while I'm at it.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, get some hoops in when you get the chance, right? Got to do some dunks.
Oh man, I've been slacking. I've been slacking with the hoops.
That's all good, man. Well, if you ever come down South Florida, we'll get some games in. Rest assured.
I need to.
Yes. Well, all right, cool, man. So we're going to dive into a little bit of your company in a little bit, but like I do with every fitness professional, I always think it's cool to hear people's kind of like origin story, like how they got into fitness and how they became a fitness professional. So take me back to young Jay. I know, correct me if I'm wrong, you did like some martial arts growing up. You also did some basketball. So kind of just walk me through like how you got into fitness and then how you got into wanting to be a fitness pro.
All right. So starting off with, when I was younger and still am, I'm a really big sports person. I played basketball from a very young age and played football a little bit too, and did martial arts for a few years and got a black belt. Then eventually got to a point in basketball where sophomore year came around, and freshman year I didn't make the team because I was the smallest guy out there, wasn't big enough. I was a pretty good shooter and a good passer, good defender, had some good skills there, but my physique and my like strength just wasn't there. So before sophomore year, I started getting professionally trained at a place called Dugan Sports Performance, and I was there for a couple months and kind of learned the basics of training for performance, and I definitely saw some improvements in that. Then I took that momentum towards my tryouts. And during the process of tryouts, I also got injured. Like when we were doing a workout one day in fall workouts, we were pushing cars and I could barely move the damn thing. And my shoulder just hurt so bad after. And I figured out later I had tendonitis and had to start doing PT for that. Then in the process of that as well, like a couple weeks after I found out about the injury, I was still doing basketball tryouts and all that stuff. And eventually I got cut, unfortunately. Then that was pretty much the end of my basketball career. Like I still played travel ball in the summer after that year because I still loved it, but eventually just realized like I started working out a lot, really enjoyed fitness and wanting to learn more about it. So I just started spending more of my time outside of school, learning about fitness and just applying things to my training and just seeing where things could go with that. Then eventually, like later on in high school, it got to a point where I was getting some really good results, and some people started to notice, and they're kind of asking me for some tips and like what I did. So that kind of kickstarted my training career there, like my personal training career, because I started giving some friends and some family some advice on things that helped me get to where I want to be and continue to do that. Then from there, it just came to going to Purdue. Then, my second semester, freshman year. Actually, before that, I found out about a personal training prep course, and my mom was really good about pushing me to do that because she saw some potential in me with that. Then I ended up reaching out, I think it was to Arthur at the time, saying I was interested in the course, and he got me some details about it, and I signed up. Then, that's that spring semester. I actually missed the first week of that prep course.
I remember your mom, I think, either called or emailed me saying you got a concussion and was like, can he please start a week or two late? Because he's not allowed to do like any schoolwork right now. So shout out to mom, man.
Oh, she's a legend. No, she's definitely one of my inspirations right there. She played tennis in college, and it's always been very health conscious and raised me to take care of my body and always try to maximize my performance. So a lot of credit goes to her. Then from there with the personal training prep course, I really enjoyed that. Then eventually got certified after I'm not gonna lie, I failed the exam the first time I took it because I just went right into it. I was
That's
like, I got
man.
this, and I got the results back, and I was this close to passing. I was like, all right, I got to actually lock in now and study this material more and actually learn it. Then I eventually passed it and started training at the co-rec. Then since then, I just got a bunch of different experiences and have enjoyed a lot of it so far. So that's pretty
amazing,
much
man.
How I got to where I am 3 years ago.
That's dope. Yeah. What discipline do you have a black belt in?
So that is in Taekwondo.
Okay.
I think my official classification was second degree decided. So it was like a step up from second degree.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
I just started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a couple months, and I'm really, really liking it. But it's humbling, man. Yeah, it is. It's like reading a map in a foreign language upside down. It's like you are so lost, and it's nice because it is contact, but you're not getting like, punched or kicked. So you're able to go pretty hard, but man, it's a difficult discipline.
That's awesome. Yeah, I tried it a little bit when I was doing Taekwondo, but I didn't like it, honestly. But I was a little kid at the same time, so like who knows now. But
yeah.
What made you get interested in trying the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out?
So I always really enjoyed watching MMA growing up. Big UFC fan, and I was like, man, I really should get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's funny enough, the last prep course we had in the spring, one of the guys in our class actually like co-taught for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club at Purdue, which was free.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So he's like, dude, you're interested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because he asked me like some questions about like strength and conditioning for it. And I'm like, hey, is there like a club? He's like, yeah, it's here in the rec. Like, come out. It's free twice a week. And I was like, say less, dude. And it was no gi, so I didn't have to like buy a uniform or anything. So I went for about 2 months. I loved it. And then COVID happened. So everything shut down. Didn't really do any kind of martial art or anything like that. And then training at Johnny O's where I'm at, one of my group fitness persons, she's like, we were talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's like, I go to a studio that's like 10 minutes down the street. And I was like, really? It's a Carlson Gracie gym. And she's like, you should go. And I'm like, all right. And then so I went a couple months ago, and now I go about twice a week, and the rest is history.
Man, that's fantastic. So you wanted to keep doing that like for the near future and see where you can go with it?
I think that's on my new goal list is just, obviously the belts are cool, but I think just like, it's more so a cognitive thing than anything. Like, yes, of course, there's a physical element to it, but I've learned in the first month that you can be very physical with some people, and it doesn't last very long because you fight anyone who like knows what they're kind of doing. They wait until you get tired, which happens inevitably. And then their skill takes over and they just make you look silly. So it's a lot of like learning technique, position, leverage, biomechanics, and they have a really good skill set. So it's cool to just get like a little mental workout with some physical self-defense tactics.
That's true. Because I saw a video somewhere recently saying that every man should be doing some kind of martial art. And they were talking about jiu-jitsu, how it's like a great way to build discipline, like learn patience, basic things like that some people might lack and could really benefit from learning in a situation like that because you need it, or else you're just going to get humbled real quick. So That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. You're going after that, and something
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested in getting back into at some point too.
Dude, it's really cool because, like I said, it's a contact sport, but like you don't have to worry about getting any head damage. I mean, obviously you can still get
Mhm.
concussed if you get tackled weird or something, but you're more likely than not going to be safe, like, cognitively. It's also really cool, not only for men, but for people who are smaller and maybe, women in general who, might have to worry more about some self defense stuff in certain situations. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you can be smaller than your opponent and still have an advantage, which in other combat sports isn't always the case, where it's like usually the bigger person generally has an advantage, especially when skill set comes in. Bigger guy with skill set, it's going to just deck you. But jujitsu, you learn how to, whether you're on top or on bottom, how to put yourself in an advantageous position to safely, choke them out, break a joint, whatever you got to do. And so, yeah, it's really like I'll grapple with people who are 30 pounds lighter than me. I'm stronger than them, but they just know how to maneuver their body in such a particular and precise way that it's like they feel like they weigh 250 pounds. It's crazy.
Man, I would get humbled so quick in there, but it'd be
Oh,
a good
yeah.
way.
You tap out like the first week, I must have tapped out like probably 20 times. And it's like, and that's me like trying like all my strength. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I was on top of him 1 second and now he's like on my back strangling me. Or I had people that I would be on top of them and I would be in their guard and they would strangle me while on their back just by grabbing my collar and like, it's insane. And I'm like, what is happening? If this was real life, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
But definitely a cool thing. On the basketball side, this is something I've always wanted to ask you. Have you always been someone, first off, yeah, y'all are gonna see when I link this guy's TikTok and his Instagram. The man's got bunnies. All right. The man can jump out the gym. He's very athletic, very, agile with his movement. Have you always had like really fast twitch movement and always been like an agile person who's really good at jumping? Or is that something you've developed over time, do you feel like?
I would say like even from a young age, I was pretty like quick and like springy. Like I didn't jump the highest, but like obviously when you're younger, you don't jump that high. But like when I was younger, I'm not gonna lie, I did so much low rim dunking. Like I'd always put my hoop down and just dunk on it and just do a bunch of fun stuff. So that definitely like built up that motor pattern really good and got me good at that from a young age. And like once I was able to start putting on muscle and get stronger, then it started to take off a lot more because my mechanics were already there from doing it so much when I was younger. Then it just helped it go to the next level once I was able to make more progress on that. So kind of just like from a young age, like I was a little bit above average, like athletically. Then it just continued as I kept working on it over time. But it's definitely a long journey and isn't something that just happens over like a few months, just transforming your vert completely. Like it takes a lot of time and practice to get the technique down, to get strong, to put all that stuff together into one movement. So definitely ain't going to happen instantly.
That's what I learned too with the dunk. It is obviously like you have to, have a decent amount of length and height and of course be able to produce force, but there's a lot of technique that goes into like the approach, the planting of your feet, the ability to like hold the ball if you can't palm it long enough and position it properly. So I'm still navigating like the approach and like trying to transfer as much speed because I can run fast. It's just there's a moment between like the transition from gaining speed to like jumping vertical that like my brain is still having an issue with. So hopefully I'll get that down. I forget the name of the jump. Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's hard, man. There's something about it that's very awkward for me that I have trouble with.
Yeah, one thing, it's such a big stride to like you really push off that third step, and it's like then you have a lot of force you have to absorb into those last two hops, and you have to be quick with it too. So it's like the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it, and it'll just take some time, but it'll keep getting better for sure though.
I'll keep working on it, but at least I got a couple of them down. So at least
I was so hyped when I saw you finally get them down. I was like, hey,
you were like one of the first. You're like, Jay, this is for you, man.
Oh yeah, now we're gonna start doing some windmills, some 360s.
Yes. That's awesome, man. What so I know you told me a little about your background, how you got into it, and you mentioned joining the prep course. What kind of made you like decide you wanted to join the prep course and ultimately become a personal trainer? Like what was the message in your head or the spark that said this is what I know I want to do?
Honestly, I would say it's a combination of like me genuinely enjoying the times where I'd be like working with my friends or family and like helping them with like their workouts and things like that. And also like I would say, as I stated earlier, my mom really pushed me to do it and try that because like when I first was looking into college, I was actually looking into exercise science and kinesiology because I was interested in learning about that already. And I ultimately ended up not going with that, but it was still a way to kind of pursue that passion that I still had. That was just something I couldn't keep inside of me. I just had to see what I could do with it. So that was kind of my way of like, even though I didn't go with kinesiology, I was like, I can still pursue this, see what happens, and I can adjust if needed. Like if I want to pursue this more than my business interests. So that's kind of, hopefully that answered it well. But
Yeah,
combination of
absolutely.
like my desires inside and what I wanted to come to school for originally, and also my mom kind of pushing me to really give it a try and see what could happen.
100%. Yeah. I always say, like, a degree helps. And I say a degree kind of accelerates the learning process, right? Because
Yeah,
you're forced to learn the material. Um, but the cool thing is now that you're in it and it's something that you're passionate about, that you're driven to do, now you can kind of use that college experience of how to study, how to take notes, how to gain knowledge and apply that to anything fitness related that you can now teach yourself.
definitely. Yeah, I was also going to ask real quick. I know when we were calling last year for one of my classes when I
Yes.
interviewed you, I was asking about how you got into your fitness journey and all that. Have you shared that on your podcast before?
I think I have
Okay.
maybe. Actually, I don't know if I went into the details, but yeah, just in case I haven't. So
All right.
to make a
Yeah, let's
long
do it.
story short, if you look, it's so funny. Like I have this thing, it's somewhere stored in my grandma's or mom's house where if you look at like my kindergarten photo and it has like a bio about you, it's, what's your name, your favorite color, what you want to be when you grow up. For the longest time growing up, I actually wanted to be a soldier. There's something about the military I was very attracted to. I liked the discipline. I liked the team camaraderie. I liked being active. I liked playing outside. So, to me, and of course the media, it glorifies it a bit to where, someone young and patriotic wanted to go out and serve their country. And
Mhm.
so from the time I was young enough to understand somewhat what the military is up until high school, I was full on like, I'm going to be in the military in some capacity. When I got to middle school, I really got interested in becoming a fighter pilot for the Air Force.
Ooh.
However, I learned that you have to have perfect vision. And when I got my driver's license, I found out I do not have perfect vision. So I'd have to get corrective surgery. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. So then the Marine
Mhm.
Corps kind of caught my eye, and I was like, I'm going to be a Marine. I joined JROTC. So for those who don't know, Junior Recruit Officer Training Corps. Basically to prep you for either going to college or joining ROTC in college to then prep you for the military. First and foremost, it's for education and providing students the opportunity to go to college. But if you have military interest or career path, it is definitely a good avenue to go to. I took that. I was actually the captain of our physical fitness team. It was called Raiders. Basically, it's like doing PT like stuff, Humvee push, like you were talking about pushing a car, rope bridge,
Oh.
5K, max push ups, sit ups, land
Ooh.
navigation, all that cool outdoor stuff. I was the captain of that team. And so I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Mm.
Um, Call it whatever you want. Life had other plans. My sophomore year of high school, I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. I'm doing tremendous physically. I'm crushing it in school. I get diagnosed with a very rare, very dangerous autoimmune disorder. Um, to make that kind of short, it affected my joints and my blood vessels. Luckily, nothing permanent, but it caused a lot of
Oh,
issues with
God.
breathing, potentially with kidneys, and it made my joints swell and become immensely painful. And so I spent about six
Mm.
months to 8 months trying to figure out first off what it was because the doctors were very confused. And then unfortunately, when the diagnosis was figured out, it's not a pretty disease. It's normally diagnosed in older people in their 60s, and it's usually quite traumatic, and the medication is quite harmful. So that was very crushing and scary time. Very thankful that been in remission since 2013, 2012 with no medication. So knock on wood, it sounds like everything's going well. But if anyone knows the military, they're picky, right?
Mhm.
If you tell them you broke a bone when you were a kid, if you tell them you have asthma, if you tell them you have flat feet, there's a good chance you might be denied medically from entry into the military. At least that's how it was back then. I haven't looked into the standards very recently. So I wanted to try it. I'm like, hey, let me go talk to Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. Let me go talk to a recruiter because they would come by the school all the time. Let me see what they would say. And
Oh.
unfortunately, every single one gave the exact answer. They're like, we could go talk to a medical doctor. And I actually did talk to one. Like, but probably, you know, given the complexity of that medical history, you're going to be ineligible for the military. And I was like,
Oh man.
damn, dude. So I get told this as a junior now. It's gone over a year. I'm getting my health back, but I'm like, I've prepared my entire young life to now go to the military, and I have one more year of school and I have no idea what I'm doing. And so my senior year of high school, it just so happened that we actually launched a kinesiology class, or a sports medicine class, which was like kinesiology. I took anatomy and physiology. I was in weight training for the third year. I was still captain of our physical fitness team and did ROTC. And so I basically, more than half my coursework was like this cool mixture of like physical fitness with like science and education in the body. And I was like, wow, I really, really enjoy this kind of stuff, both in the classroom and in the actual weight room itself. And so I tried to think like, why did I want to join the military? What was it that attracted me? Like I mentioned in the beginning, it's the teamwork, the discipline, the patriotism, the camaraderie, the physical activity, the education, and teaching other people. I loved all those things. And then I was like, maybe I need to get involved in a career in fitness. And lo and behold, I'm biased, but about a 20-minute drive from where I live in my high school, there's Florida Atlantic University, one of the top exercise science programs in the state, if not the country. And then I applied for the program. I fell in love, and the rest is history.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's just crazy when you look back at certain events, like, for example, like you're ineligible in the military. Then, like, I guess for me, like not making basketball and just looking to where that reroutes you, then it just takes you down a road you just never thought was possible. But it's just cool to see how things work out like that.
100%, man. You know, it's sad. I would have liked to serve, and, you know, who knows what would have happened, where I would have gone. Maybe it would have been a very quiet career. Maybe it would have been a unfortunately disastrous career. Who knows? But I'm happy to be where I am now. So for what it's worth, man, I had a great ride, and I'm enjoying everything so far.
I feel that.
Yes, sir. So last kind of thing on your background, this is something I always like to ask fitness professionals, is kind of what their fitness philosophy is. And what I mean by that is, if you had to summarize fitness in a couple sentences or a paragraph, like what does fitness and health, however you want to frame it, what does it mean to you specifically?
So I would say my best way describing it would be mastering some of the basic movements that like every human should do, like your functional ones like squat, hinging, upper body pushing and pulling, rotational, unilateral movements, basic things like that. So mastering those, creating like fun and enjoyable habits that will help you improve your health and like quality of life. So I would say a combination of, mastering some basic movements, just getting active, improving your quality of life, and just I'm a really basic approach to it. Then based on that, like there's a big aspect of individuality. Like everybody has different goals. Everybody has different backgrounds. Everybody has different like ways they enjoy to exercise. So it's a very important job to try to figure out what ways you can make people and get the most out of their experience in fitness. So like if someone really likes to play sports, like incorporate some of that into their training, and also have them, instead of doing stupid cardio exercises and machines, have them play their sport a couple of times a week. So I'm just a big believer in just having people master the basics and also do things that they enjoy to reach their desired goals. So very simple and straightforward, but
I love that, man.
That's pretty much how I am.
Mine's very similar. It's like behavior change is everything, right? I say it in different ways, but that's ultimately what it is. And however I can help facilitate behavior change to get people to adhere to the program and work towards their goals, like that's what it's all about. Because, you know, I can make a boring scientific program, but if you don't like it and stick to it, like what the hell's the point of it, right? So and that's really cool. I always tell people that, like, with cardio and conditioning, like people, I think, don't understand that. And this goes for young trainers as well. It's like, if your heart rate and your breathing rate is up and you're doing something active, that is conditioning and cardio. Like it can be playing basketball. It can be playing soccer. I mean, if it's intense enough, I guess it could be table tennis too. Like anything that gets you active and moving. So like I do basketball twice a week. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu twice a week. Like that's the majority of my conditioning. So don't think you got to be on a machine for 2 hours a day. Like that is not at all what it has to be.
Yep.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
Oh yeah, I haven't thought of that question since I think probably since the prep course or like when I interviewed to be a PT at Purdue, because I remember they asked that question. Then since then, I haven't had to answer that.
So yours has stayed the same since?
I would say it's changed a little bit. I honestly don't remember what it was at first. Like I was trying to understand what that question even meant at first, and I kind of just whipped some stuff up, just saying like, um, probably just like get people stronger and like improve their health, something really basic. But
Mhm.
now it's a little bit different, but still the same kind of idea.
Yeah. Do you make any distinction with? It's funny. I talked about on a couple podcasts ago with my friend Seth about this. Do you make any distinction with your philosophy when talking about athletes versus the general public?
I would say for athletes, the most important thing for them is keeping them healthy and finding ways to improve their performance. So like it kind of relates to like basically what everyone else is. Like you want to get them moving the right ways, mastering the basics. You want to, I mean, for athletes, like maybe their training's not as enjoyable because they like playing their sport.
Of
And
course.
sometimes the weight room is like, oh, I don't want to do weights today. I want to do this. I'd rather just play basketball or that. So that's why it also can be important to find ways to make it enjoyable, but also
Yeah.
like still addressing their needs and keeping them healthy. Because like sometimes there might be exercises that they don't like doing, but it'll help them stay healthy and improve their performance. So you just gotta just kind of let them know like it ain't all sunshine and rainbows, and you got to do some stuff you might not like. That's part of it, but it's gonna help you get to where you want to be. So just trust me.
Yeah.
But I would say it's pretty similar though.
Athletics has that. It's kind of your job portion of it, right? And like, of course,
Yeah.
if you really like your job or even love your job, like there's parts of it or days that like you're eating shit, and it's like I really don't want to be doing this today, but I'm gonna put in the work. I'm gonna put my head down. And so for athletes, you can get away with it a little bit more with just like the monotony of like,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. We're doing box squats today, 3x5. And it's like whether they want to do it or not, they just have developed that discipline and that adherence, like,
Hmm.
yes, coach, I'm doing it. But you're right. It's like it's fun to like leverage them, especially like if you're working with them in small group or one-on-one, like challenging them. Athletes are very
Hmm.
competitive. Like, hey, the other day on this broad jump test, I heard, Joe hit, 8 feet. What are you going to do today? And then he's like, oh, Joe didn't say less, coach, say less. So, right. So finding ways to hype them up,
Yeah.
find ways to get them excited about the program is still going to be a good thing to do regardless.
Oh, 100%.
No, really appreciate you sharing those philosophies, man. That's always good to hear. I always like to see people's perspective on, just how they got into training, why they became a trainer, and like ultimately how they kind of view fitness and wellness as a whole. And that actually segues really nicely into talking now about your business, your fitness page, your fitness, content that you create, which is your company Next Gen Wellness. And I know this is something we've chatted about on and off for the last couple of years, just for some inspiration and some ideas. So yeah, I just kind of want to hear all about it, like why you started it, how it started, all that stuff.
All right. So I guess starting off with it, during quarantine, everybody was at home, not much access to gym equipment and weights. So I don't know. I honestly don't remember what made me start making the videos of the home workouts, but I was like, you know what? Let's start posting some stuff on TikTok, see what happens. Like just genuinely trying to help people out to get right during quarantine. And then eventually, like I started really enjoying making those kind of videos. And even at first, like I didn't even go by Next Gen Wellness. Like my name was like Jay-Z Fit or something for the longest time. But I just kept making videos about stuff that I feel like people should know, just basic things with fitness and health. Then from there, eventually got to a point where I was like, I really like doing this and I want to try to build something bigger than just me. So that's when I started thinking of ideas for like a whole brand to do. Then eventually, pretty sure it was around December of 2020 or January 2021. I officially came with the name Next Gen Wellness and started going by that. Then from there, I just kept posting content pretty regularly, like probably 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Sometimes it was up to six, sometimes it was down a little bit, but yeah, I was just trying to pump out some content, help people out. And from there, just I was always thinking of ideas for the future for my company as well. So I guess if you have any questions about that so far, we can do that, or I can just keep diving into it more.
No, you keep going, man. I don't want to disrupt the flow.
All right, so I guess yeah, so once I started thinking about it more of as a brand, I started thinking about ways I can provide more value just outside of videos. So the first thing obviously would be like coaching online. So I've coached a few clients online, not a great amount, but in the double digits, but nowhere near the triple digits. So it's been fun getting to do some online coaching, kind of just like get on calls with people, really understand like their goals and their experiences, and then I'll just come up with a good way to get them there. Then we roll for a month and see how the progress has been going throughout. Then I try to get some kind of testimonial after. Then actually I need to start posting those because I've been sucking with that. But yeah, that was like the first way, I guess, of utilizing the platform more than just posting videos. Then the most recent one would be releasing merchandise. And that's something I've always dreamed of since I was a kid, just having something that I had a good portion of making and creating and kind of bringing it to life and letting people rep the brand that tries to promote a message of my slogan that I've officially come up with now is maximizing human performance. I haven't trademarked or gotten anything like that for intellectual property for my brand yet, because I'm still trying to figure out if I want to go with it long term. But since I have merch with it now and I've been rolling with this name for a while, I think it's probably approaching time to get that property protected and roll with it. But just in case if I thought of different ideas, I kind of kept that open. Then I was just rolling with it for the present moment. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been able to do so far with it, like some merchandise, some online coaching. Then for long term, there's a lot of things I've thought of with the company. One of them, obviously, like a lot of trainers want to have their own gym someday. So I know at some point I'll have some sort of facility that is mine, and I can train people there. I can have people, if it's like an actual public place, I can have people get memberships there and work out there. So that's definitely something in the future when I have the funds and I have the resources and the network and the community built to do that, I'm definitely going to pull the trigger on. But that's something that's going to take a long time of getting established in an area and really building up your presence so you have enough people that will want to utilize your services and your value you provide in that area.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have some other ideas of like products and things I want to offer as well. One thing that's like really, really out there is basketball shoes. And ever since I was a kid, I've always had trouble finding shoes I really, really love to play basketball in. Like I wore Kobe's from the time I was like 12 years old to pretty much now. But there's some features in them that I would change a little bit, but they're the best thing on the market in my opinion. But I've been wearing these things called minimalist shoes the past year about now, and I've really enjoyed wearing those all day because they're very minimal, low to the ground. They have no heel elevation. The toe box, like in the front of the shoe, is a little bit wider, so your toes can spread a little bit more, which is definitely healthier for your foot than having them crammed in most of the modern footwear. So with that being said, I want to kind of apply some of those basic features to a basketball shoe. So I'd have it low to the ground, but still like enough cushioning, because when you're playing basketball on those hard surfaces, it's still a lot of force when you're landing. So you still have to have some cushion and some give there. So I would still have a nice thick midsole, like in the area that you step in, to have some protection, but I would not have the heel elevated at all. And I would have the toe box be a little bit wider. So those features from minimalist shoes I would combine with how modern basketball shoes are to make a more natural feeling shoe. It would definitely be lighter. You'd feel like more quick, agile moving in it, and it would still give you that same protection and traction and all those things you need for playing basketball. So that's ultimately like one of my long-term goals, just because I've always been a big fan of like not only merchandise but like apparel. So like footwear is something I've been passionate about. So that's eventually I'm gonna make it happen in some way, shape, or form. Like I've been reaching out to footwear engineers, trying to connect and see if they'd be down to do it, but I haven't had any success yet. But I'm gonna keep trying because that's something I really see a need for, and I'm starting to notice other people seeing a need for as well. And that kind of ties into like some of my entrepreneurship stuff as well. Like if you see a need for something and you can find a realistic way to bring that to life,
yes,
you got yourself a winning business. So I'm in the very early stage of trying to make that a reality, because I really do see a need for a more natural fitting basketball shoe that still offers all the great features that we need them for. So that's ultimately like one thing I really want to do with my brand. But besides that, like, yeah, just opening up a gym someday, training clients like at any level. Like I love working with some of the youth athletes I do right now. And some of my experience working with collegiate athletes has been fantastic. And I've always dreamed of working with pros too. And that's something that's going to take a long time to get up to, but I definitely could see it happening someday because I really, really love the athletic populations. So that's definitely one of the ultimate goals too, just to be able to work with athletes at every level.
Yeah, man.
I'd
I love
say,
that.
yeah, I would say those are some like the main parts of my brand and goals of it. Then one final thing, I want to continue to post content for as long as I can. Like I've been kind of slacking this semester with posting. No excuses here. I just haven't been prioritizing it enough. And I kind of hit a wall with ideas too. And I want to kind of redo how I make my videos and how they look just because it was kind of getting repetitive. And I want to kind of change it up and try to bring more value rather than just keep pumping out videos that I truly don't feel like are up to my standard. So I want to get back to that eventually too, just to keep promoting or providing value for people for free that aren't able to pay for like any of the services or products I offer. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much some of the main parts of my brand right now that I want to keep growing and tap into in the future.
There's so many great things there, dude. First off, I appreciate how, you hold yourself to a high standard, but your content is phenomenal. It's extremely engaging. Like what's the term? It's fun education. Like it's fun and it's educational. Like,
On
so
vacation. Oh
yeah.
yeah. That's a
So
good
you're
term.
always doing something like, whether it's athletic based or just showing cool exercises, but
Yeah.
you make it very like palatable to watch, right? And it's very like easy to understand. So like whether you're a fitness professional or just like, a general person who's like trying to learn about how to do a bench press, like you break it down
Oh,
very easily.
my hammy's cramping right now.
Oh
Oh,
no.
dude, I had some
I
curls
hate
earlier.
that.
This thing is feeling it.
I
Ah,
hate that.
I'm
While
about to
he's
start this
sitting
thing
down,
out.
man, that's the worst. There's nothing you can do about that.
I don't know if I've ever had a hammy cramp on me before.
Oh no,
Man.
that's bad. That's
Okay,
bad.
keep going, keep going. I'm
No,
good.
you're all good, man. We'll make sure
I'm just
you
gonna
you
sip
stay
some water.
hydrated. You get those electrolytes in, man. You take care of yourself over there. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely really like your content. I also like how you like are trying to speak into existence. Like you're like, when I open my gym, when I have the resource to open my gym. So I really like that idea that you're going to try and open up your own facility. Um, and I could be ignorant to this, but I really like basketball shoes. I love playing basketball. It's
Mhm.
something we share and talk about from time to time. And I will say, without even mentioning that to me before, one of my
Mhm.
biggest complaints, and this is coming from someone who naturally has a narrow foot, right? Basketball shoes in general are very narrow. Like
Yeah.
I primarily use KDs or like my most recent pair is just some cheap Nikes that I got at the Nike outlet because I wanted a quick pair. Um,
Mhm.
both of them are just have such a small toe box. And I'm not saying it has to be like, an Under Armour like wide CrossFit toe box, but like
Definitely.
it shouldn't be coming to like a dress shoe point. And I feel like
No.
my feet are getting smushed. You're limiting the surface area you can produce force. So I would
Mhm.
imagine there's got to be like some biomechanics involved that aren't as efficient. Um, I know they want to keep the shoe tight. So maybe
Mhm.
it's easier to keep it tight by narrowing the shoe because of the ankle mobility. But I feel like there's got to be another way. And so that's really cool that you're finding that pain point, working on it. So yeah, Purdue's full of engineers. So maybe you find someone and I'll
That is
cop a
true.
pair of wide toe box high top shoes from you if you end up making it.
Oh yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like I love basketball shoes, but there's just a couple features, like mainly the toe boxes that like ever since switching to minimalist shoes and having my feet kind of structured, open up a little bit and perform more naturally, I just don't feel good wearing the shoes anymore. Like I already had problems when I was younger. Like sometimes my feet would hurt really bad, and sometimes I'll roll
Mm-hmm.
my ankle because my foot wasn't working properly. And now it's to a point where it's like I'm so used to my foot working really well how it should, and the shoes just don't allow for that. So it's like
Yeah,
there's an opportunity here for someone to create something special, but it's just a matter of
100%.
enough people understanding how much the toe box can benefit your performance, like in a shoe like that.
Oh
That's the tricky
yeah.
part.
Oh yeah. I'll say like sometimes I actually I'm very fortunate. Aside from rolling my ankle one time, I actually have pretty good ankles. I've only rolled it once. Um, I used to always play exclusively in high tops, just because I like them
Mm-hmm.
and they give you a little bit more height and you can produce pretty good force. But I will say, I now kind of play 50-50. I'll do high top, and depending on the day, if I'm feeling it, I'll actually wear my Nike Metcons. They're very
Oh,
flat.
yeah.
They have a relatively neutral toe box. So for me, with a narrow foot, it actually feels pretty wide.
Oh,
Um, I actually feel more athletic and springy with a low cut shoe, I guess, because it's a little lighter. And I can really like cut and change direction and accelerate very, very well. And it is pretty flat, which I actually
mm-hmm.
like when I run or play sport because I like having more contact with the ground. But it has
Mm-hmm.
very good arch support. So it's not a like
Uh,
minimalist shoe, more so like yours. So
yeah.
I really like the idea of like a more sneaker based, wider based kind of basketball shoe. I know some people like they definitely really need the excessive ankle support, but again, I feel like you don't have to compromise on one or the other to make a good shoe.
I agree. And I feel like obviously some injuries can't be prevented. And I almost feel like high tops like don't provide much extra, like they give you a little bit extra support, but at the same time, like there might be a situation where you land and
If
say
you're landing on
you're
someone's foot, you're gonna roll your ankle. Like I don't think it
yeah.
really matters if you're barefoot or have like a tight high top. Like if you're really like landing funny, like it's probably not doing too much.
Yeah. And also another thing to consider too is like I'd rather have my ankle give out than if my ankle is really stiff and nothing happens, then it's something higher up your leg
Mm,
could happen too. Like I wouldn't want that from a fall either. So like I'd rather have my ankle give out if anything, because that's
yeah,
probably the lowest risk. And it also like there's so many ways to train too to get stronger ankles and stronger feet to really minimize your chances of that. And that's something I wish I knew about sooner as well. So the combination of that and having proper footwear can really get some athletes from a young age. I would be curious to see how high their potential could be with
yeah,
like those kind of training practices and wearing really optimal footwear to like enhance their foot health and make sure they're performing how they should.
100%. And it's a little bit of an extreme, but like I know like I have friends that are just really prone to ankle rolls, like probably just
Mm-hmm.
like a genetic thing for them, but like they make ankle, and of course basketball has like natural components and unnatural, right? You're playing on concrete or you're playing on wood floor, but like you can wear an ankle brace that like stiffens your ankle pretty well. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the extreme example is Steph Curry, right? Like
Yeah.
he was having his career was actually not doing very well because he kept having these semi-traumatic ankle rolls, and then he got like the kind of not prosthetic but like the support that he now wears on his ankles to where it almost really can't roll in a sense. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely things that if you are someone who needs more ankle support that you can put in, complement with a shoe that maybe fits you better.
Definitely.
That's cool, man. I really like that. I actually, like I said, I haven't really heard people talking about changing basketball shoes too much, so I think you might be onto something there.
It's very like early stage though. And there's actually a couple companies I've found that are trying to make shoes like that, but they're so early on. So I'm curious to see how they turn out. So it's like one of those things where I'm gonna wait and see what they do and see how it goes. Then eventually, like when I have the resources and I can make it happen, I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens.
I love it,
But
man. Very, very cool.
the timing's very important. Like if you're too early and not
Yes.
enough people know about it and think it's good, then like you're just gonna waste a bunch of resources and you're gonna miss the dot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of just figuring out when's a good time to just when you think you can hop in. So I'm just
100%.
stay on
Because
the
then if you're too
lookout.
late, there's too much competition. Then it's like,
Yeah,
yep. But you're thinking about it. So at least you got
we'll
a little bit of a leg up.
we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir. Well, kind of the last thing I want to talk about, which you hinted at a little bit, is a little bit of your strength and conditioning experience that you've got to gain at least this semester. And that is
Yeah.
working with Purdue Strength and Conditioning. So just
Uh-huh.
kind of, why you kind of wanted to get into that. And I know you have that athletic background you talked about and like working with athletes, but how you got into that and like what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah, so I would say just I've been really interested in athletic training and working with athletes, and there's no better opportunity when you're at school to try to work with the team that or to work with your school's teams. So I found out about the opportunity and figured like first or I connected with someone in a class in my entrepreneurship class who is a former Purdue basketball strength coach. He
Wow.
was a guest speaker for our class one time because he was one of the early members of a fitness startup company. So I reached out to him after he was a speaker in our class. Then I got on a call with him and he kind of just talked about his experience getting into the field and how he got to eventually like being a head coach for men's basketball at Purdue for strength and conditioning. And also he had experience in the NBA assisting with the Chicago Bulls. So
Nice.
his advice to me was to reach out to the people at the department at Purdue, ask if I can come in for shadow sessions. Then from there, just keep on them and just ask for more shadow sessions. Can I get in? Can I get in? Then eventually, like I was doing that and I got in for some sessions, and it got to a point where they're like, we can't keep having you shadow. We have an internship program though you can apply for here.
Nice.
That kind of led me to applying for the internship, then ultimately getting into that this semester. Then ever since then it's been great. So yeah, going into the how it all started, the communication was very slow from them, like on the details of how it would work. So I didn't really know what to expect this semester until like the day before the semester started. And it was funny because like I didn't even know if I would be working the first week because I was still like having some forms approved. So like I didn't know what to expect. And all of a sudden I get a text from one of the coaches. He was like, "Hey, this is Coach blah 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 from Purdue Strength and Conditioning. I need you here tomorrow morning at 5:45 to help with you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is so early." And I ended up getting an email, and a little bit later in that day, like the Sunday before semester started, I looked at my schedule. I was like, "Damn, I'm in here early every day." I had to get there at like either 5:45 Mondays and Wednesdays, or 5:30 every other day of the
Man,
week. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be hard," because like I would always stay up like really late, just working on stuff and grinding. Then I would sleep until a reasonable time, not too late, but not too early. But was definitely to the point where I was like, "Damn, this is kind of scary. I don't know what I'm
yeah,
getting into, but I'm gonna have to get my ass to bed early." So that was just the whole start of that. Just completely flip-flopping my sleep schedule was very interesting. But I honestly really like getting up early, and I feel way more awake in the early mornings than I do when I sleep in.
that's good.
Even though like I might not get as much sleep, I just feel really awake in the morning, especially when you get to do something you love and work with some awesome athletes. Like it's a great way to start your day. So like literally just starting with that, it's been awesome so far, from the point of like adjusting my schedule and staying more disciplined about how late I stay up and like what I need to do to get to bed at a good time and get my ass up early and moving.
Yeah. I always say the
And
fitness industry made me a morning person, because I'm the
yeah,
same way. Like if I was like given like what would be your body's natural schedule, I would wake up probably at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, maybe a little later on some days, but I can stay
yep.
up till like 1 or 2, no problem. Like that to me is
Oh, for
good.
sure.
I'm productive, in the evening most times, unless I woke up really early and I'm gassed at night. But yeah, I remember my very first client ever as a personal trainer wanted to do 3 times a week at 6:30 a.m. And I was like,
Oh,
I'm struggling to get up for these 8 a.m. classes, and now you want to do 6:30? Oh my God. But it's like,
oh
hey,
man,
your time to shine, dude. You gonna make it happen, or what's the deal? Right. So
yeah,
push came to shove and we made it happen.
man, I feel that a lot too. It's like a scary adjustment, but it's like then when
Yes.
you get to it, it's like this is not as bad as I thought. I kind of
No,
like this.
it's a small shift, right? It's just making a little bit of
Yeah,
a
that
change and you're good.
pretty
Um,
much.
I also really, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I'll keep drilling it till the day I die because it's so important for young students or even just people trying to make connections in the industry. Is like, you never know how simple and maybe in some cases easy it is to get an opportunity. I think a lot of
Hmm.
people, and that's not to say, Jay, that you didn't work hard for all that you've done. You have. But like you said,
Yeah,
like you just talked to a guest speaker in your class.
yeah,
You went and bugged the strength and conditioning facility a little bit. And now you're doing an internship for Purdue Strength and Conditioning, a Division I school. Like
yeah.
it was that. And so a lot of people, I think, get intimidated when it's like, man, like there must be a million people applying for this and they're not even
Hmm.
going to listen to me. And it's a waste of time. And like, they don't even have the time of day to talk to me if I even go to reach out to them. It's like, well, little do they know that there's barely any people going to the door. They're actually just chilling there doing their course hours, or they have a
Yeah,
break between teams. And like, you could walk up introduce yourself, hit it off. And before you know it, you're waking up at 6 a.m, 5 a.m. to go do strength and conditioning. So I've had so many stories like that, whether it's for applying for grad school, making a connection for a client where like someone you were like afraid to talk to because you're like, they're not interested. Little did you know, just by going and talking to them, they asked you if you could be their coach. Like those little moments, they just need a little bit of a push. It really is minimum effort. And there are times where it doesn't work, where it's like, hey, sorry, like we don't have any open spots this year for grad school or for the strength and conditioning program. Whatever. At least you tried and you found out. But you would be surprised what little effort it takes to get something you want and desire in life just by asking and just by like going and showing up, man. It is, the story rings true time and time again. So it's really cool to hear it from you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's definitely something like that I had to learn and start doing to like really see the value of that.
Yeah.
Because like, showing up is a skill after all, and just putting yourself out there and showing how much you care, and people will resonate with that. And they'll be like, that's the kind of energy we need in our environment here. Let's bring him on, see what he can do, and see what happens.
It's also a probability thing I found out. So like in the realm of coaching, like I hire a marketing company, right? And so they generate leads for me from Facebook and Instagram. And so, you know, I've had hundreds of leads, right? 95% of them are rejections in the way of never responding or saying wrong number or leave me alone. But the 5% of them are now permanent clients or have clients that I worked with for a little bit and had great relationship with, helped them reach their goals, built good bonds, and made some money off of it in the process. But if I didn't like do those asks or do those phone calls or bug those people and make those asks, I would have never had that opportunity. Right. So it's getting over the fear of rejection because, again, people can curse you out, but like the worst thing they're going to say is no, thank you. I'm not interested. And you will never know until you ask them. So you might as well go and try because you never know what the opportunity could bring you if you just simply ask for it.
Man, that is so true though.
Yeah, man. That's cool that you're able to get that experience. And I'm sorry if you said it. Are you doing basketball exclusively or are you doing all sports?
So it's all sports. I've been able to shadow basketball a little bit, but my schedule kind of doesn't work the best with when basketball lifts. So I've mainly been working with track and field. I was with soccer for the first 8-9 weeks of the semester. Cheer, softball I've been with pretty consistently. Then I've also got to help out a little bit with some other teams too. And I've got to shadow pretty much like every team so far. So it's been a fantastic experience. And yeah, I can dive a little more deeper into the experience if you want.
Yeah, I want to know, like, are you programming? Okay. Are you mostly like helping out in the weight room? What are some cool like tricks you may have learned in the process? Tell me all the deets.
All right. Oh, let's see. I guess I'll start off with one of the most important things, just arriving early before every lift, then helping with setup. So one thing that I wish I learned sooner in the process was like trying to look at the programs and just get access to them ahead of time so you know what to set up instead of having to ask the coaches. Because if you're able to just go in there and just set everything up on your own and they come in, they see it set up, or they're like doing something and they see it set up already, they're going to be like, damn, this kid's it. Like, yeah, this is awesome. But I didn't learn that right away. Like it took me some time to kind of get that initiative in me to really try to figure out what's going on and make sure I'm setting everything up right. Cause like, obviously you'll make some mistakes. So like, of course I made some mistakes, got yelled at a little bit, but it happens. You learn from it. And
this is a landmine road, Jay. Okay. Yeah. Landmine row.
Man, yeah, I've had some funny experiences with that, but all for the better. But yeah, it's just starting with the setup. So get in there early, like 30 minutes early, even 45 minutes early before the sessions. So like some days I've been in there at like 5 a.m. getting help set up. Like for baseball this morning, I was there 4:50 a.m. Then coach said to get there at 5 a.m. because they're lifting at 5:30. So I tried to beat him there by a decent amount of time, then get ready to go.
Nice.
But yeah, you just go in there, help set up. Then for the actual lift part, we don't help them like with their actual program, but there's a part of our intern curriculum where we do assignments weekly. Nice. So like part of that is like programming certain blocks for certain teams. We do article reviews. We've done like a assignment about how to adjust a program for a certain injury. Then we have a final project coming up where you have to do like a bunch of different things for a specific sport. So mine's basketball. So I have to present like 3 different programs, I believe, I have to do a needs analysis, a testing battery, just basic like a couple more things like that for the whole semester. So like there's also a curriculum, which we'd also meet twice a week, that we'd learn some material, then do some activities like with the coaches, like learning that thing. So that's another big part of it too, the curriculum. But going back to what I said about the programming, we don't help with the programming at all, but we help coach the athletes through it. So during the workouts, we kind of just like, depending on the team, either like one of the coaches, like for track and field, he gave me and the other intern the whole freshman group for track and field, and we worked with, or the freshman males. We've been working with them 2-on-4 the whole semester. So us two interns have been working separately with the freshmen. Then he's been with the big group of the veterans who already know what they're doing. So that's been a really good experience for us to kind of learn how to coach ourselves and just help those freshmen learn everything the right way and do things the right way. Then there's some other teams like softball where I'm pretty much like there as part of the big group. Nobody's isolated except for injuries. And I kind of just go around the room, just walking around, making sure everything's going well, just like hyping them up, things like that. And like if I see anything I can coach, I just hop in there, just like be respectful and be like, hey, awesome, I like your effort here. One thing we can do to fix this, just a couple quick short cues. Well, keep it up and just move on with it and kind of watch it. And if they do it right, kind of hop in again, be like, hey, so-and-so, nice job fixing that. I'll keep it up. Yeah, looking good. So just like keeping the cues really concise and easy to understand has been one of the most important things, like with actively coaching. And another thing is like always like moving around the room, making sure you can see a lot. And also like kind of being aware of your position compared to like the other interns and coaches, like making sure you're not just like following them around or like being too close to them all the time. So just a couple of basic things like that when it comes to coaching. Then just trying to help the atmosphere just stay high energy, help them do the right thing and all that. So that's pretty much the experience with the coaching is. So that's
cool, man.
Yeah, how it's been so far. Just coaching a couple teams, I'd say like 2 to 4 teams every morning. Then help with takedown and cleanup and maintenance around the facility as well. Then that's pretty much the whole like 9 yards of the internship curriculum. Then you can obviously like we're able to go in there more if we have time. Like we can help shadow other teams and even start helping with other teams. But my schedule's been pretty busy, so I'm not able to go in too much extra, but I've been able to do a decent amount and see some other teams. And that's pretty much how the program has been so far. It's been a great learning experience. Learned a ton of stuff that I'm really thankful for, and met a lot of cool people and built some relationships with the coaches, which another thing, like with the networking, like these dudes all have crazy networks. So like,
yes,
being able to just help them out as much as you can and just have an impact on them is very important.
Yeah. And I personally like, it would be definitely cool to be with like one team and like build really good rapport and stay with them. But I did an internship my senior year of undergrad at a private strength and conditioning facility. They contracted a lot with Lynn University, which is a university close to FAU where I went, as well as a lot of private athletes on the professional and amateur level and junior level as well. So, but it was really neat because, you come in the morning, you're doing women's swim. The afternoon, you got guys who are preparing for the combine for the NFL from a couple different schools. And then in the evening, it's like you got, men's lacrosse. And it's like you get the experience of everything. It's like, hey, come early, set up the weight room, get everything ready, help with the coaching and the cues. The combine was a lot of like watching, learning, because of course it's very important for them to like be dialed in with the coach. But of course the coaches were really cool. Be like, hey, what did you notice about his position in the 40? How could he improve? And so they were very interactive in that way, but it was more so a learning environment. And then there's freaking like all the different sports and knowledge. And then of course, like you mentioned, like working with the freshman track athletes, like I got to have an individual experience most of the time with the men's basketball team for Lynn. And like, that was just such a cool experience because like you get like that intimate like moment with them where it's like, hey, you're pretty much their coach. They look up to you. You have good times with them. They remember your face. You come by. And so it's like, that is like your team, quote unquote, in the moment because you get to work with them and build that rapport. So that's a dope experience, dude.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's been like so much other cool stuff that's happened. Like I've been able to come to some of the track practices and kind of like observe them and just like, it's always fun, like just seeing them there. And they're like, oh, what's up, Jay? Like,
yeah,
hey, I didn't know you were coming out here. I was like, yeah, I just had to surprise you guys, see what's happening, and yeah, just keep working hard. Like, y'all are doing great. But it's been a really, really great experience so far. So I'm super thankful for it, and definitely has helped me like know like this is my purpose and like it's something I need to keep pursuing. So that's what ultimately like led me to now being interested in grad school and trying to do a GA
Yeah.
position, like because I've really enjoyed that experience as well, in addition to like my personal training and other experiences with fitness. So now it's like, all right, I'm trying to figure out some good opportunities I can apply for, then see what's out there and make it happen.
Yes, sir. Well, as you're applying and looking for taking that next step, you let me know in any way I can help. I'm always happy for
Yeah.
whatever you need. And I'm excited to see all the great things that you are going to do with your company, with school, with personal training, with everything. So yeah, man, just thank you so much for taking the time to tell us all this cool stuff about like what you're doing. And can you go ahead and plug like anything you want, your handles, anything you got going on right now so that people can see all the cool stuff that you do and offer?
Yeah. So first off, thank you again so much, Damien, for having me on. Truly honored to be on this podcast and help share my story and share how much you've helped me as well. Like I really appreciate all the advice you've given to me and everything you do to help me. Like I can't thank you enough for it. And I can't wait to see your progress as well with the shift method, because I remember in that talk we had last semester, you're telling me some really cool things. Like I don't know, I don't want to share too much, but like I remember one thing about a certain like kind of certification that would I really think could have a great impact on a lot of people in the industry. So like I truly am excited to see how everything plays out with your brand as well. But you can find me on Instagram at nextgen.wellness. Then on TikTok, my name is nextgen wellness. Then other platforms like YouTube, I started posting shorts. My name is nextgen wellness on there. Then I'm on Facebook too, nextgen wellness. And that's pretty much all I'm on right now that I actually use. I have a Twitter too, same username, but that's pretty much all right now. No other announcements, no more merch drops. Had one merch drop, and it's by the time this video is up, it's going to be over. But
Gotcha.
definitely stay tuned for future merch drops and other things that I'll be doing with my brand. So thank you again, Damien, for having me on.
Yeah,
Really
I look forward to it, man. And thank you for my kind words. I got my next gen
yeah.
shirt. So hopefully when the next one's out, I'm gonna plug it because it looks nice. So and he's got
We
mine on.
repping
Look
each
at that.
other's stuff. Yes, sir.
That's right. That's right.
Let's go.
You already know where to
Yeah.
find me, right? You can go to theshiftmethod.org. You can cop some like Jay's got on. It's cold, man. It's December. I know Florida can get a little chilly, get in the 60s down here for us. So if you want to get a nice hoodie, any kind of shirt, water bottle, you name it, we got it. Theshiftmethod.org/store. Really, really big announcement. So this is coming out kind of in the middle of December, January 2nd. It's a Monday. It's International Personal Trainer Awareness Day. Also happens to be your boy's birthday, right? Look how that all lines up perfectly. Starting that day, I am partnering with Train Heroic and we'll be releasing semi-private or semi-personalized training templates for anyone who would like to buy them on the marketplace. Essentially what that looks like, I'm kind of at a point where my time is very limited, unfortunately, and I'm looking for a way to still provide awesome, affordable services for y'all. But unfortunately, it's hard to do with how limited my time is. With these templates, they're based on a particular goal. So the first one is going to have 4 different goals. It's going to be general fitness, weight loss, hypertrophy, and strength for the big 3, squat, bench, and deadlift. If that is a goal that you're interested in and you would like to purchase a program that was written by me for those goals, you can do so through Train Heroic. It's significantly cheaper than working with me one-on-one, whether it's in person or virtual. So it's very affordable. It's through the Train Heroic app, which is free to download. It has videos, it has guides, it has prescription with sets, reps, and intensity. Everything is done for you. You just have to make it work with your schedule and go out and do the damn thing and perform the lifts. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to be posting a bunch of info about that on YouTube, on my Instagram, on all my stories. So that way y'all can see like how to actually register, pay, and go about getting it if you want to. Maybe I'll be doing some giveaways too. So, keep an eye open for that if you want to maybe get a free giveaway for a program. But that's kind of the main announcement. Jay-Z, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Thanks again, Damien.
See ya.